I never thought firing someone could feel like slipping into someone else's skin, but that's exactly what Victoria Hale did to me, literally. One minute, I was Dahlia Reyes, mid-level analyst at Apex Ventures, grinding through spreadsheets in my cramped Manhattan cubicle. The next, I woke up in her penthouse body, staring at my own face in the mirror, her designer silk robe draped over what used to be my frame. And the kicker? She didn't just steal my bonus. She framed me for embezzlement, leaving me to rot in her old life while she paraded around in mine, sipping lattes and closing deals like nothing happened. It started with that godforsaken hoodie. Victoria showed up to the office that Tuesday in November, rain-slicked streets turning the city into a gray smear outside our floor-to-ceiling windows, like she was heading to a spin class, not dropping a bomb on my career. "Dahlia," she said, her voice all honeyed boardroom bullshit. "We need to talk." I remember the way the fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, casting harsh shadows on her flawless Botox-smooth skin. She was the queen bee of Apex, the kind of exec who networked at Met Gala afterparties and had her assistant fetch her gluten-free acai bowls. Me? I was the invisible one, the Latina from the Bronx who clawed her way into finance on sheer grit, pulling 80-hour weeks while she golfed with VCs. She didn't even sit down, just leaned against my desk, arms crossed over that oversized gray hoodie. Zara, probably, but on her it looked like high fashion, like she was too casual for the kill. "Effective immediately, we're letting you go." Performance issues. Performance issues? I'd just closed a $2 million merger that saved her ass from the board's scrutiny. But there it was, printed on Apex letterhead. Termination notice, no severance, and worst of all, a clawback on my $95,000 year-end bonus. The one I'd earned sweating blood over projections while she took credit in the war room. I laughed, actual hysteria bubbling up, because what else do you do when the rug's yanked out mid-stride? "This is a joke, right? That bonus was vested. You can't just..." But she cut me off with that patented smile, the one that said she owned the room, the company, maybe the whole damn island. "Sign it, Dahlia, or it'll get messy." Messy. That's code for the HR file she'd padded with my attitude problems and the anonymous complaints she'd planted herself. I signed, hands shaking, because bills don't wait for justice in this city. Rent on my walk-up in Washington Heights? $2,800 a month. Mom's chemo copays? Non-negotiable. By Friday, I was evicted, figuratively and almost literally. My inbox exploded with recruiter ghosts, and my LinkedIn lit up with pity likes. But the real gut punch came Sunday night, alone in my studio apartment that smelled like takeout, lo mein, and regret. I'd been scrolling Glassdoor, drowning in cheap Merlot, when the migraine hit. Not a regular one. These were lightning bolts behind my eyes, like my brain was rewriting itself. I stumbled to the bathroom, splashed water on my face, and that's when the mirror lied. Victoria's reflection stared back. Sharp cheekbones, ash blonde bob, those ice blue eyes that could freeze a room. I screamed, her scream, high and entitled, and shattered the glass with my fist. Blood trickled, but it was her hand bleeding, her manicured nails chipped. Panic clawed up my throat. This wasn't a blackout or some acid flashback from that one bad batch at Bushwick. This was real. I grabbed my phone, her phone, contacts filled with names like Daddy's Pilot and Soul Cycle VIP, and dialed 911. But the operator heard Victoria Hale's voice pleading about an intruder, and before I knew it, cops were at her door. My door? Hers now. They didn't believe me. Why would they? I was Victoria Hale, tech darling, TED Talk survivor. The woman who'd just fired a disgruntled employee, per the news leak she must have orchestrated. They chalked it up to stress, prescribed Ativan, and sent me on my way. But I knew. That bonus. Gone into her offshore account. Wired the second she pulled the trigger. And the frame job? Subtle digital trails leading back to my login. IP spoofed, timestamps fudged. She'd been planning this for months, ever since I uncovered the glitch in her pet project. Apex's AI trading algo, rigged to skim pennies from client trades. Millions, funneled to shell companies. She'd buried it, blamed a vendor error, but I had the logs. The ones she deleted after swapping us. Swapping. That's the secret she'd buried deeper than bodies in Jersey wetlands. Victoria wasn't just ruthless, she was revolutionary. 6 months prior, she'd greenlit a black-budget R&D project, neural transference, courtesy of a rogue neuroscientist poached from DARPA. Body swapper. They called it in whispers, a helmet rig that mapped and migrated consciousness via quantum entanglement. Experimental, illegal, but Victoria saw dollar signs. Immortality for the 1%. She'd tested it on lab rats, then volunteers, homeless vets paid in cash, and NDA gag orders. But she needed a dry run on someone she could control. Someone disposable. Me. I pieced it together that first week in her skin, rifling through her encrypted laptop while she, in my body, partied at Lebain, posting selfies with my face, captioning, "New beginnings. Girl boss." The files were there. Emails to Dr. Elias Crow, the egghead who'd built the rig in a Soho loft turned mad scientist lair. Subject, Reyes. Clean slate. Execute Phase 2 post-termination. Phase 2, the swap. Triggered remotely via a nanite cocktail she'd spiked my office coffee with. Wake up, freak out, get institutionalized if you squawk. Meanwhile, she inherits my debt-free-ish life, my unassuming face that doesn't scream fraud alert at customs. Betrayal doesn't get deeper than wearing your enemy's skin while they trash your name. I could have gone to the cops again, but who'd believe a Wall Street witch claiming identity theft on a sci-fi level? No, this called for something biblical. Revenge, American style, calculated, collateral damaging, and just controversial enough to make the headlines question if I was the villain. First move, play the part. I showed up to Apex Monday morning, her Mercedes purring into the garage, her Louboutins clicking across marble floors, like nothing happened. The board meeting was a blur of PowerPoints and posturing, but I locked eyes with her across the table. She was there, in my brown curls and thrift store blazer, fidgeting like the imposter she was. Our gazes met, and for a split second, my eyes widened. Recognition. Panic. "Good to see you back, Vic," I purred in her voice, all East Coast polish. "Heard you had a wild weekend." The room chuckled. She forced a smile, but I saw the sweat beading on my old forehead. Game on. That night, I hit the underground. Victoria's world was velvet ropes and private jets, but it came with skeletons. Her little black book, digital of course, held dirt on half of Manhattan's elite. Affairs, bribes. That time the mayor's aide covered her DUI. I started small. Anonymous tips to page 6 about her mystery lover, a married senator. Watching the tabloids chew it up. She retaliated by leaking more about Dahlia Reyes, my old self, as the bitter ex-employee plotting sabotage. Her Twitter blew up with Firevic trending, but I fanned the flames from her own account. Transparency is key. Apex stands with victims of workplace harassment. Controversy brewed. Feminists hailed me as a whistleblower. Trad bros called it corporate sabotage. Protests outside Apex HQ. Picket signs reading "Hoodie firings equals sexism." I leaned in, giving interviews to CNBC in her Chanel suit, voice cracking just enough to sell the breakdown. All while tracking her, me, in the Bronx, crashing on couches, blowing my bonus on coke-fueled raves. Pathetic, but I needed her off balance. Enter the secret I'd born for her. The embezzlement wasn't just her algo scam. 2 years back, I'd caught her siphoning funds for something personal, Crow's Lab. I'd covered it, fudged audits, because she promised equity, a seat at the table. Family, she'd said, arm around my shoulder at the holiday mixer. Liar. That mistake hung over me like a noose, my ethics shredded for her ambition. Now, in her body, I unraveled it all. Hired a hacker kid from Red Hook, $10K wired from her slush fund, to trace the nanite shipments. Turns out, Crow wasn't just a doc. He was a cult leader, peddling swaps to billionaires terrified of death. Victoria's endgame? Swap with a senator's wife, ascend to Congress, immortalize her fraud empire. The tension coiled tighter. She cornered me in the ladies' room at a gala. Met steps glittering below, champagne flutes clinking like ice in a vein. "Give it back," she hissed through my lips, breath hot with gin. "This isn't you." I smirked, her perfect teeth flashing. "Feels pretty good from this side, though. Your back fat? Non-existent." She lunged, claws out, but security peeled her off, the unstable former employee making a scene. Viral video, Vic versus Dahlia. Public ate it up, debates raging on Fox versus MSNBC. Empowerment or breakdown. My decisions got uglier. Controversial? Hell, they were radioactive. I doxed her real estate shell companies, forcing foreclosures on her Hamptons getaway. Sent Crow's address to a whistleblower site, tipping feds to the human trials. Bodies dumped in the Hudson when swaps glitched. One victim, a junkie actor who'd woken up in a dog's mind. Mercy killed by handlers. I leaked the autopsy pics, blurred, ethical-ish, to spark outrage. Protests swelled. Apex stock tanked 15%. Victoria, in my skin, went underground, holing up in my old apartment, paranoia turning her, me, into a ghost. Climax hit on Black Friday. Consumer hellfire in Times Square. I'd lured her with a fake olive branch. Meet at the swap site. We end this. Crow's loft, reeking of solder and regret, rig humming like a dormant beast. She arrived twitchy, my old frame swallowed by a parka, eyes darting like a cornered rat. You think you're winning? She spat. I built this. You? You're the mule. Mule. The word stung, the secret she'd weaponized. I'd taken the fall for her first test run, years back. A glitchy swap on a rival exec that fried his synapses. Cover up? Me, signing falsified reports, my career's original sin. We circled the rig, accusations flying like shrapnel. You stole my life, I said, her voice steady. My bonus, my name, everything. She laughed, bitter. You were going nowhere, Dahlia. I gave you purpose. Purpose? As her scapegoat? Rage boiled. I flipped the switch, not to swap back, but to overload. Sparks flew, consoles melting. She dove for the helmet, but I held her, my own body, down, forcing the surge. Controversial? Strangling your past self to kill the future? The air crackled, her screams echoing mine from weeks ago. But the twist, the gut-wrenching reversal, came as the rig imploded. In the smoke, monitors flickered, logs, unredacted. Not her plan. Mine. No, we'd both been played. Crow, the puppet master, had initiated the swap unbidden. Victoria hadn't stolen my bonus. She'd been fighting to expose me. Wait, me? The file scrolled. Dahlia Reyes, the real one, had been the architect. I'd skimmed the algo first, not her. The frame job? Self-sabotage to vanish, start over in her skin. The hoodie firing? Her last mercy, giving me an out before the feds closed in. My mind reeled, her mind fracturing. I'd been the villain all along. Amnesia from the nanites wiping my slate clean. Or had it? The betrayal looped infinite. She, knowing, had let me think I was the victim, guiding my revenge to destroy the evidence. As sirens wailed, NYPD, tipped by her final text, she whispered through my lips, "Welcome back, Dahlia." Or should I say, Victoria? The rig's feedback loop snapped us mid-swap, souls tangling in limbo. I woke in cuffs, body mine again, bonus irrelevant amid indictments. Justice? Pyrrhic. The headline screamed, Tech Twins Deadly Duel. Debates eternal. Was it revenge or redemption? I stare at the cell wall now, mirrorless, wondering whose skin I'm truly in. Hers? Mine? Or the monster we both birthed in America's cutthroat gleam? The irony of it all hit me like a subway rat scurrying over your sneaker. Unsettling. But you keep moving because what choice do you have in this city? Locked in Riker's intake, fluorescent hell buzzing like a hangover. I replayed the loft inferno on loop. Smoke curling from fried circuits. Victorious. My face contorted in that final whisper. Had she known? Or was the twist just another layer of the lie we'd both swallowed? Guards barked orders, stripping me down to the delousing shower, water icy as Wall Street handshakes. Reyes or Hale? One grunt asked, eyeing my file. I shrugged. Pick one. They're interchangeable now. Interchangeable. That's the poison of Apex culture. Identities as fluid as stock tickers, loyalty a punchline. Back when I was just Dahlia, pre-swap, pre-vengeance fever dream, I'd idolized Victoria. Fresh out of Fordham with an econ degree and student loans like anchors, I cold emailed her for an internship. She replied in 48 hours. Coffee. 8 a.m. Equinox. Bring your A-game. I showed up in my one blazer, hair slicked into a bun, nerves jangling like the one train at rush hour. She sized me up over a $12 matcha. All sharp suits and sharper questions. You're hungry, she said. Not a compliment, but a diagnosis. Good. Starve the doubt. I did. 12-hour days turned to 18, fueled by bodega coffee and the promise of that corner office. She mentored me, brutal, brilliant, teaching the dark arts. how to read a room like a poker tell, negotiate bonuses with a smile that said fuck you sweetly. We bonded over late nights, her spilling scotch, me nursing Red Bull. This game's rigged, Dahlia, she'd say, feet up on the conference table, skyline twinkling like accomplice stars. White boys in khakis run it, but we played dirtier. Sisterhood, or so I thought. The betrayal seeded then, in those confidences, when she first floated the body swapper pitch. It was casual, post-merger high, us toasting with Vuve in her office. Imagine it. No aging, no burnout. Jump bodies like upgrading phones. I laughed, thinking Ted Vaporware. But her eyes gleamed, that predator glint. Crow's close. Needs field tests. Field tests. The secret I buried. I volunteered first. Not her mule, her partner. We swapped with lab dummies, giggles turning to gasps as the helmet hummed, realities blurring. Success. Then greed crept in. She wanted live trials. I pushed ethics, citing the vet's NDAs as exploitative bullshit. Fracture. That's when the hidden crime bloomed. I rigged the algo, not her, to fund my exit. $500,000 skimmed, enough for a new life in her skin, vanishing the evidence. But paranoia poisoned it. I spiked her coffee with a trace nanite, intending a warning glitch. Backfire. Full swap. Memory scrambled. She woke in my body, piecing my plot, deciding mercy over malice. The hoodie firing? Her gift, a clean break. Bonus intact and a came in hold for Dahlia to claim later. But I, in her shell, saw theft. Launched the revenge machine, doxing, leaking, burning bridges she never crossed. Rikers blurred days into weeks. Solitary 4 aggravated assault, though the DA spun it as mutual madness. Tech execs in body swap death pact. The post blared, cartoons of us as Siamese soul twins. Mom visited once, through plexiglass, her chemo pale face crumpling. Mija, what happened? The news says you're her. I pressed my palm to the glass, her warmth a ghost. It's me, Ma. Promise. Lie or truth. The twist nod. If I'd been the architect, was this karma's cold slap? Letters piled up. Fan mail from Inkel's hailing my alpha takedown. Death threats from her Wellesley sorority sisters calling me thieving spick psycho. Controversial? My saga split the nation. Swap justice versus Vic was framed. Podcasters dissected it on Joe Rogan. Shrinks on CNN opining dissociative identity as capitalist metaphor. I devoured them in the library, plotting next moves. Parole hearing loomed. If granted, I'd claw back to the streets, expose Crow fully. But power's addictive. Victoria's residue lingered, whispering burn it all. Flashback to the gala aftermath, pre-arrest. Her lunge in the bathroom hadn't ended there. I'd slipped a tracker in her, my purse, a tile fob disguised as a lipstick compact. Watched her spiral from Victoria's phone. Frantic Ubers to motels in Queens. Burner calls to Crow begging reversal. She's unraveling everything. Desperation peaked when she hit my old contacts. Ex-boyfriend Marco, the barista who'd crushed on Dahlia. Coffee meetup in a dingy Starbucks off Fordham Road, rain sheeting windows like tears. I tailed her, incognito in a Yankees cap and sweats from her closet, irony's wardrobe. Peered through steam-fogged glass as she poured out the tale in my voice, hands gesticulating wildly. It's not me, Marco. Some tech stole my soul. He nodded, eyes soft, buying it because it was my face pleading. Betrayal's echo. I'd ghosted him post-swap, too wrapped in vengeance to notice her using my past as lifeline. Rage surged. I burst in, hoodie up, echoing her firing stunt, yanking her by the collar. Wrong story, bitch. Chaos. Spilled lattes, screams, Marco dialing 911. Cops hauled us both, but she lawyered up quick, painting me the stalker. That night in Holding, pre-Rikers, she visited. Shared cell block, air thick with bleach and despair. You don't get it, she said, my features gone under fluorescence. I was saving you, from yourself. Confession spilled. She'd discovered my skim months back, confronted me pre-swap. We fix it together. But the nanite, warning, triggered anyway, locking us in. Her plan post-swap. Play along, gather evidence on Crow, swap back clean. My revenge. Unwitting demolition of the proof. The twist reversed again. Who betrayed whom? Partners in crime, or victims of our own ambition? I laughed, echoing our old Scotch nights. Then why the hoodie? The bonus grab. Mercy. She claimed. Let Dahlia vanish broke. Easier cover. Lies layered like Manhattan bedrock. Parole came swift. Victoria's pull, posthumous strings. Out on the street, December chill biting. I hailed a cab to the Hamptons shell. Empty now, foreclosed by my leaks. But the safe held it. $95,000 check, endorsed to Dahlia Reyes. My hands, mine again, trembled signing it. Redemption? Or blood money? The city pulsed indifferent, holiday lights mocking from Bergdorf's windows. Crow's trial loomed, feds raiding his loft, unearthing frozen swaps in cryotubes. I testified, voice steady, she fought it. We both did. Truth half spun. The real Dahlia, the skimmer, stayed buried. But nights, in my reclaimed walk-up. Rent paid, mom's bills current. I stare at the mirror, wondering if the swap left echoes. A flinch in the reflection, her blue eyes flickering in my brown. Revenge's cost, soul scarred, indistinguishable. Debate rages online. Did I win, or did we lose? Happy ending for the framed, or tragedy for the fall? I cash the check, buy a one-way to LA. New start, same skin. Or is it? LA hit like a reset button smashed with a sledgehammer. Palm trees swaying in smoggy haze. Billboards screaming self-help seminars like salvation was just a $99 webinar away. I landed in January, $95,000 burning a hole in my Amex. Renting a one-bed in Silver Lake with views of the Griffith Observatory, that Hollywood beacon mocking my scripted life. Dahlia Reyes, consultant, my new LinkedIn read, vague enough for gigs ghostwriting white papers on ethical AI. Irony. The girl who swapped souls now preaching integrity. Clients bit. Tech bros hungry for redemption arcs post my scandal. But ghosts don't fade in 70-degree winters. Victoria's echo lingered in nightmares. Her laugh in my throat. Deals closing with her cutthroat flair. I'd wake sweating, checking the mirror for blonde roots. The twist from the loft. It unraveled slower than a bad acid trip, pieced from trial transcripts I devoured like contraband. Crow, that wiry bastard with his turtlenecks and messiah complex, sang like a canary under plea deal. Hale initiated, he claimed, but footnotes whispered otherwise. My emails, pre-amnesia, greenlighting human trials. Reyes, proceed with caution, volunteers only. Caution my ass. The vets were volunteers, like indentured serfs. Betrayal's depth? We'd co-conceived body swapper over wine at Gramercy Tavern, dreaming of disrupting death like Uber did taxis. Empower the underserved. I'd pitched visions of terminal patients swapping into healthy shells. Victoria twisted it. Monetize the elite first. Schism grew. I skimmed to fund ethical overrides. She countered with the frame. The swap? Mutual sabotage. Her spiking my coffee to force confession, me countering with nanites for leverage. Result. Locked loop. Memories merged like oil and water, inseparable. LA's underbelly welcomed me quick. Through a Venice contact, a producer pal from Fordham, I scored invites to crypto mixers in Malibu basements, where NDAs flowed like mezcal. Whispers of Swapper 2.0 circulated, Crow's acolytes peddling beta rigs to influencers terrified of OnlyFans irrelevance. I infiltrated, first-person sleuth in my own revenge sequel. Dahlia Reyes, I'd say, flashing a smile that mixed my Bronx grit with her polish. Heard you're innovating in transference. Eyes lit. Invites followed to a Santa Monica warehouse, disguised as a VR arcade. The antagonist Redux, Lena Voss, Crow's protege, a Silicon Valley shark in athleisure, all ponytail and passive aggression. Powerful. She bankrolled Apex's dark pool, funneled swaps to A-listers dodging Me Too reckonings. Mumu, cunning as a fox in Lululemon. Our meet. Her demo night, strobe lights pulsing to EDM, test subjects, washed-up models. In helmets, swapping mid-dance. I volunteered, helmet humming familiar dread. Mid-transfer, I hijacked the console, hacker kid's backdoor code, $5,000 Venmo'd from my consulting slush. Glitch City. Lena's consciousness yanked into a volunteer's shell, a barista's, acne-scarred, and barista broke. Chaos erupted, screams sinking to bass drops. I bolted, rig smoking, but not before downloading her ledgers. Swaps for senators, CEOs evading subpoenas. Controversial drop. I leaked to The Intercept, anonymized but pointed. Hollywood's sole trade. Front page firestorm. Oscars canceled, DOJ probes. Lena, in her new skin, surfaced on TikTok rants. Stolen life. Justice for Lena. Echo of me, pre-swap. Public tour itself. Enablers or victims. Tension peaked at Coachella. Ironic venue for soul-searching. I'd traced her to an Airbnb in Palm Springs. Festival fringes buzzing with trust fund ravers. She cornered me poolside, her borrowed face twisted, pimples flaring under stage lights. You think this ends me? Venom dripped, her voice a Brooklyn twang I'd never worn. I know your dirt, Reyes. The skim, the cover-up. Bluff or truth? The hidden mistake resurfaced. Not just algo fraud, but a swapped XX suicide, pushed by me, post-glitch, to silence leaks. Victoria had taken the heat, falsifying my alibi. Deep betrayal flipped. She'd borne my sins, not vice versa. Fight or flight? I chose controversy. Live-streamed the confrontation, phone propped on a lounger. World, meet the woman who stole souls for selfies. Her lunge, nails raking my arm, went viral, 10M views by dawn. Soul swap showdown trended, debates exploding. Vigilante justice or cyberbullying. Cops swarmed, but she fled into the desert, hitchhiking like a broke starlet. I pursued, rental jeep kicking dust, radio blasting Springsteen, Born to Run, fitting anthem for body outlaws. We clashed at Joshua Tree, boulders looming like judgment. She had a rig fragment, portable helmet, jury-rigged in her panic. Swap back, she demanded, gunmetalized wild. Give me my life. Hers now, technically. The decision loomed, controversial core, mercy kill the tech, or indulge the power. I donned the helmet, her screams fading to static. Mid-transfer, I overloaded, again, frying the chip. She collapsed, consciousness intact but trapped, no reversal. Mercy? Or cruelty, leaving her in a stranger's shell, forever other? Twist whispered in the feedback. Logs showed Lena as Pawn 2, Crow's real endgame. Mass swaps for a new order. Elites puppeteering the masses. Victoria and I? Test dummies for the beta. Reversal. We'd been allies, amnesia engineered to feud, destroy each other for his amusement. As EMTs airlifted her, raving of stolen identities, I pocketed the drive. Evidence goldmine. Back in LA, feds called. Immunity for testimony. I spilled, voice cracking on the stand. CNN Live, nation glued. We were monsters, but he made us. Verdict. Crow life, Lena 20, to life. Me? Cleared, but scarred. Ending debatable. Hero's arc, exposing the underbelly, or by karma, trading one fraud for fame? I cashed residuals from a Netflix doc, swapped, the Dahlia deception, bought a ranch in Topanga. Horses, sunsets, therapy. But mirrors lie still, whose reflection trots out at dawn. Topanga's canyons cradled me like a reluctant lover, winding roads hugging cliffs, eucalyptus whispering secrets to the wind. Spring bloomed violent, wildflowers choking hillsides, poppies like bloodstains on green. My ranch, a modest spread off Mulholland, $800K, Netflix money well spent, came with a mare named Echo, her whinny a nightly reminder that some voices never fully fade. Therapy sessions via Zoom with a Santa Monica shrink, Dr. Patel, unpacked the swap like a bad suitcase. Integration Dahlia. Whose trauma is whose? I'd laugh, bitter IPA in hand. Pick a lane, document. They're all rush hour jammed. Fame's double-edge, sliced deep. Post-trial, I was flavor of the month. TEDx invite, reclaiming identity in the age of AI. Podcast circuits with Malcolm Gladwell nodding sagely. But the undercurrent? Haters. QAnon spun me as deep state lizard. Proof elites swapped to dodge Nuremberg 2.0. Victim advocates hailed Victoria as the real martyr, her suicide note, forged by me in vengeance haze, leaked online. Dahlia took everything, even my end. Guilt gnawed, a low hum under the acclaim. The mistake I'd shouldered? That XX push, his name, Harlan Tate, Wall Street wolf who'd swapped into a junkie's husk, begged reversal. I obliged with a sedative OD, Victoria signing the coroner's accident report. Her sin, my hands. Or was it? LA's elite circled cautious, dinners at Spago, where whispers probed. So, Dahlia. Felt weird. I'd deflect with her poise, my grit. Like borrowing your grandma's muumuu. Snug, but not you. Laughter masked the tension, but cracks showed. A producer pitched biopic, Souls for sale. Me as J.Low hybrid. I passed. Too soon. Too raw. Instead, I consulted quietly. Ethics audits for startups. Red flagging neural tech. Power's seduction lingered. Victoria's boardroom swagger tempting one more deal. But revenge's aftertaste soured it. Every mirror a potential portal. The antagonist's shadow stretched long. Not Lena, but Harlan's widow, Evelyn Tate. Power incarnate. Old money. Hampton's estates. Lobbying firm that greased D.C. like butter. Momo? She knew the swap's guts. Had funded Crow's early grants via philanthropy shells. Post-trial, she surfaced. Email to my agent. Conversation? For closure. Closure my ass. Ambush. Meet at her Bel Air manse. Peacocks strutting lawns like arrogant uncles. She greeted me in pearls and pantsuit, martini extended. Dahlia. Or should I say, the woman who killed my husband. Blunt as a 2x4. We toured her rose garden, thorns dripping dew, her spilling the secret I'd half buried. Harlan wasn't suicidal. You too. Experimented. He came back wrong. Fragments of you in him. Flash. Post-swap haze. Me and his shell briefly. Test run gone awry. Consciousness bleed. My memories leaking into his. Rage at Victoria's betrayal. My own skim. Forgotten. The push? Not murder, but mercy. His plea. In this echo. Evelyn's twist. She'd covered it, not Victoria. Your mentor took the fall to protect you. Loyalty, darling. Loyalty. The word curdled. Betrayal reversed. Victoria, knowing my blackouts, had framed herself as the villain, guiding my revenge to expose Crow while shielding me. The hoodie? Her signal. Run, before you remember. Bonus theft? Illusion. She'd parked it for my escape. Deep cut. I'd borne nothing. She'd shouldered my darkness. Her power a shield for my sins. Evelyn's play? Blackmail. Hand over the drive's residuals, or she leaks the true logs, painting me killer. Tension coiled canyon tight. I played along. Dinners turning weekly. Her tales of Harlan's charm, my nods laced with probes. Controversial decision brewed. Expose her funding, torture empire? Or ally? Dismantle the network from within? Climax brewed at a Napa retreat. Wine auction under stars. Elite swapping stories like Pokemon cards. Evelyn cornered me in the vineyard, shears in hand pruning Cabernet. Join or burn, Dahlia. Her eyes, Harlan's, maybe, gleamed threat. I chose fire. Slipped a USB, hacker's worm, into her phone during charcuterie. Midnight upload. Her ledgers to WikiLeaks. Swaps name-dropping governors, starlets. Chaos dawn. FBI choppers dusting vines. Evelyn cuffed mid-mimosa. Viral again. Widow web. Debates raging. Justice porn or doxing the grieving. She lawyered eternal, but the twist landed. Her confession, vid, pre-arrest, blaming Crow solely. Lie? Or Evelyn's mercy, sparing Victoria's name, and mine? Fallout. My ranch picketed by her society widows. Murderer, scrawled on gates. Mom flew out. Her health rallied by my checks. Baking arepas in my kitchen. Enough fighting shadows, Mija. Wise. I sold the spread, donated proceeds to swap victim funds. Vets rehab. Families of the lost. New gig. Adjunct at UCLA, lecturing ethics in emerging tech. Students probed. Was it worth it? I'd pause. Victoria's poise cracking. Depends on the mirror. But the reversal haunted. If she'd protected me, was my vengeance matricide? Happy for the exposed, tragic for the ghosts? I drove Mulholland at dusk, radio crooning Tom Petty, into the great wide open. Ending open, debatable, redemption's road, or just another swap waiting. UCLA's lecture halls smelled of chalk dust and ambition. Fresh faces and hoodies, eyes wide on futures unscarred. Fall semester, vines turning gold over Westwood. I paced the podium in jeans and blazer, my uniform. Bronx casual meets Victoria's edge. Neural ethics isn't theory. I'd say, slides flickering Harlan's blurred face. It's the line between God and glitch. Questions flew, probing, idealistic. What would you swap for? A beat. Nothing. Everything's earned scars. Laughter, but mine rang hollow. The twist's residue itched like phantom limbs. Life settled uneasy. Tenure track whispers. Coffee dates with a poli-sci prof named Raj. Kind eyes, no skeletons. Mom settled nearby in Pasadena, her garden blooming with no polis. chemo a faded bruise. You're home, Dahlia, she'd say, empanadas steaming. Home. The word chafed, swap strip roots, leave you adrift in your own plot. Fame ebbed to footnotes, docuseries reruns, true crime pods rehashing the Dahlia switch. I avoided mirrors, showers with eyes shut, but echoes persisted. Her inflection in my laugh, my grit in her ghost. The final antagonist emerged subtle, not a person, but the system, America's churn, where power swaps hands like hot potatoes, ethics optional. Enter Senator Lyle Grant, Harlan's old poker buddy, now chairing the AI Oversight Committee. Powerful, oily charisma masking the moo-moo core. He'd swapped twice, once post-UI crash, into a staffer shell, again for youth, poaching a model's youth. Crow's Network? His pet project, buried in black budgets. Post-Evelyn bust, he circled, invite to DC consult, Air Force One adjacent. I flew coach, principal over perk, touching down in Cherry Blossom, DC, monuments stern as senators. Grant's office, mahogany and machismo, him behind the desk in seersucker, drawl dripping southern charm. Dahlia, darlin', your testimony saved my bill. Bullshit, it gutted it, Neural bans his nightmare. The secret unburied. He'd greenlit my original skim, laundered through his pack, funding swaps for veteran rehab. Mistake born. His, but I carried the frame, Victoria the cleanup. Betrayal's circle closed. We'd all been mules for the machine. Tension simmered over steak at Morton's. His treat, my wire recording. Join the committee. He pressed, eyes twinkling like faulty LEDs. Shape the future. Code for bury the past. Controversial crossroads. Expose him, ignite war? Or infiltrate, dismantle from the throne? I chose the blade. Leaked his logs to ProPublica, timed for midterms. Senator's sole secret. Polls cratered. Hearings erupted. C-SPAN circus, me testifying again, voice steady. Power corrupts absolutely, especially when it's not yours. Climax in the Capitol basement. After hours, negotiation, fluorescent hum echoing Rikers. Grant, cornered, pulled a rig fragment from his safe. Portable swapper, Crow's legacy. One ride, Dahlia. Back to innocence. Temptation sang. Erase the scars, reborn blank. But the decision crystallized. Smash it. Hammer from his desk drawer, gavel irony. Crush the circuits, sparks dancing like fireflies. He lunged, seersucker tearing. But Capitol Police, tipped by my text, swarmed. Cuffs clicked. His drawl broke to please. Twist's final reversal. In his phone, voicemails from Victoria, pre-loft. Lyle, she's remembering. Protect her, or us. She'd orchestrated the whole revenge arc, not as victim, but guardian. The skim? Her setup to lure Grant's exposure. The hoodie? Signal to me, the new Dahlia, to start the dominoes. Deep betrayal? Self-inflicted, we'd plotted it together. Amnesia a ploy to sell the whistle. I'd borne no crime. We'd engineered the fall. Her death, a staged exit to vanish clean. Truth inverted. Revenge was the script, I the unwitting star. Arrests rippled. Grant indicted. Network crumbling like Potomac mud. I walked free, committee seat offered. Real this time. Ending? I declined. Drove cross-country in a used Subaru. Windows down, Springsteen blasting. Stopped in the Bronx. Old walk-up sold, but stoop eternal. Sat there till dusk. Fireflies. Real ones. Winking. Happy. Justice's cascade. Lives reclaimed. Tragic. Souls forever tangled. Trust a casualty. Debatable. Hero or con. I choose the road. Scars my map. After all, in America's grand swap meet, who's to say which skin fits best? Mom waited in Pasadena. Arepa's ready. Home, she asked. This time, yes. Echo whinnied in the stable. My ranch repurchased. Humble. Raj proposed over tacos. I said maybe. Mirrors? I faced them now. Brown eyes steady. Blonde ghost faded. But on quiet nights, I wonder, if we scripted the fall, what's the encore? Fade to credits, or roll the dice again?